All right, Shalom Israel, you're on live with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Priest and Captain Soccer War holding down the class live from Memphis, Tennessee. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we have classes here in Memphis from 6 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Really, that time is going to be amended, man. We're going to start having, the classes officially going to be from 6:30 to 8:30. Class from 6:30 to 8:30, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday here in Memphis, Tennessee. The address to the school here in Memphis is 3000 Walnut Grove Road. Again, 3000 Walnut Grove Road. All you brothers and sisters tuning in, you got family, loved ones, people you care about in the Memphis, Tennessee, and surrounding areas, get them in contact with the ISUPK. Since 1969, the ISUPK has been teaching so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians the truth according to the Bible. What is the truth? The truth is that so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans in America descend from the greatest people that have ever walked the face of the earth. The Bible identifies us as the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. And in the year 2023, there is nothing more important than for God's chosen people to find out the truth of who we are, where we come from, and what our purpose is here on the earth. And so what we like to do with these classes is give brothers and sisters an opportunity to come in here to the school, ask questions, get answers, and receive the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that the Most High has contained inside of the Bible for us to receive in these days and times in order to facilitate us becoming the people that God called us to be so that we can assume our righteous place on the earth. With that being said, Tuesday is brotherhood class, Wednesday is biblical law, Thursday is scripture breakdown. But tonight, I wanted to go into a very particular topic. Came up, yesterday I made a post on Facebook that said that yoga was satanic. And on the post that I made concerning yoga being satanic, a lot of people took light of it, thought that I was being funny and joking. But there were some other people who came on and were genuinely asking questions about why I said it was satanic. And so I figured if there's any confusion out there amongst our people, or if there's anyone who doesn't truly understand the background and the history of these different forms of culture and religion that are being received from other nations on the earth, it's important that we understand, man, the background and the religions and the spiritual connotations of something as simple as stretching, which is what they promote yoga to be. Yoga is promoted in the westernized world as a means of, adding flexibility to your body, strengthening your core, strengthening and elongating certain muscles so that you could be more flexible and agile and things of that sort. And while that may be true, that some of the poses and some of the workouts and the meditative aspects of yoga can teach you to be more flexible and help you to, strengthen your core and elongate your limbs and things like that. The origins of this yoga absolutely is religious, and all of the poses and all of the breathing techniques and the meditative aspects of it are directly tied into the worship of pagan gods or East Indian gods. And so it's important for us as so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to understand that When the Most High created the earth and he created mankind and he created the different cultures and the different races of people, everyone was given their own lane to exist in. Everybody was given their own culture. Everybody was given their own way of life. And that's why many of the different religions and cultures that have evolved on the earth as time and civilization has moved forward are so different and isolated and independent from one another. Because the Most High is not the author of confusion. When he created humans, he gave everybody their own way of doing things. And the Bible is important because when it speaks of Adam being raised of the dust of the earth in Genesis, the second chapter, incorrectly, Christianity teaches that Adam was birthed at that time. Adam was made from clay and mud in the ground, when that is not what the Bible is talking about. When the Bible talks about the formation of man and the breath of life being breathed into Adam's lung, the Bible is describing a man being chosen from among all the people who were already on the earth and being given God's way, being given God's culture, being given the Most High's rules and instructions for establishing order and decency and morality in the earth. And so from Adam, the Bible gives you, the Bible allows you to trace the history of the culture that God gave to Adam being disseminated down the lines until you get to Noah. Then after the flood, it was passed down to Shem. Abraham was the man who, when he grew up and had the was surrounded by various religions and various cultures and various ways of life. Abraham was a man who stuck to the old path, which was laid down by Adam and passed down from Noah and given to Shem. And Abraham chose to serve the Most High God, while all around him, everyone else was worshiping idols and doing all manner of practicing various religions and cultures. And so, when it comes to today, and Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians learning the truth of our history and our identity as God's chosen people, a line must be drawn in the sand between the path that God chose for us as his people and the path and the cultures and the religions that all the other nations have for themselves. And so we're going to get some scriptures right now concerning that. God giving everybody their portion on the earth. We're going to talk about the history of the Elamite people in the Bible, the so-called East Indians today, or the Red Dot Indians, as we refer to them sometimes. The Bible identifies them as the children of Elam, or the Elamites. The children of Elam, or the Elamites, who later on in the Bible became the Persian and Mede Empire. The Persian and the Medes, the Mede portion of the Persian and Mede Empire, were the East Indians. You understand? And when you understand the history and the culture of the Persian and the Mede people, it is easy to see how and why Hinduism and yoga and tantric sex and the Kama Sutra and all those things are interconnected when you understand the culture and the way of life that these people adopted for themselves. So we're gonna get into all of it tonight, man, and going forward, brothers and sisters will be able to understand that not everything that is promoted to be beneficial for you is actually good for your soul. And that's the most important thing that we should concern ourselves with in this life, is what is good and beneficial for our souls. So with that, the first scripture we're going to go into is um Genesis, I believe. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. No. Hold on. Bear with me. Hold on. All right, this is Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 8. All right. It's Deuteronomy um chapter 32, verse 8. Everybody understands? Or chapter 7. I mean Deuteronomy 32 and 7. Deuteronomy 32 and 7 says, "Remember the days of old, consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will show thee thy elders, and they will tell thee. When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. For the Lord's portion is his people, Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. So, what is this scripture talking about? This scripture is talking about remember the past. Go into the past and research. Go ask the fathers, and they're going to tell you. Go ask the elders, and they will reveal to you what? They're going to reveal to you that when the Most High divided the nations, what are the nations? All the races. When he divided all of the heathens, when he divided all of the people on the earth, he separated the sons of Adam and set the bounds of the people according to the number of Israel. Meaning what? When God divided into every nation, into every race, what was to be their portion, he considered the portion that he was going to give to his people, the children of Israel. You understand? Why? Because we are the Lord's portion. We are the Most High's inheritance. And what does that mean? What have the 12 tribes of Israel inherited from the Most High? We've inherited his laws, statutes, and commandments. We've inherited his culture, inherited his path of righteousness. We've inherited a way of life that will prosper us and will propel us to be on the forefront of all morality and righteousness and wisdom on the earth. You understand? And so when it comes to finding out the truth of being an Israelite, the most important thing that you can do is investigate and find out everything about the culture that God gave to his people as possible, you know what I'm saying, as you can. Because in order to be able to assume the role of the children of God, in order to be able to stand and walk in the path that the Most High set forward for his people, you have to know how the things that he requires of you has divided you from the other nations. Everybody understands? And so with that, the first thing I want to do is talk about the history of the children of Elam, okay? When we're talking about yoga and we're talking about the religious aspects or the religious origins of this culture, you have to look at the religion of the East Indian people or the Elamites, which is Hinduism. You understand? Hinduism is the religion of the East Indians, and Hinduism is a religion that is heavily centered and focused on what they like to call today um, seeking consciousness, opening up your mind and living, seeing the world beyond um, being present in your physical body. A lot of the Hindu religion is about transcending or elevating yourself beyond your daily troubles and beyond the daily occurrences that you face in life. And when you understand the history of Hinduism, you must also take a look at the culture of the Hindu people. What is it that happened in their past, or what is it about their society and their culture that would cause them to have a belief and a worship system that is based on out of body experiences, that's based on not living in the present, but trying to transcend and open your mind up beyond the cares or the pains or the ills of your present life? One of the particularly unique things about the Hindu culture is that they have a belief that their social system is known as a caste system today. Western society, the Hindu way of life, the Hindu society and culture is built on a caste system. And what is a caste system? A caste system is a very old method of locking people into certain roles and particular so what I'm looking for. Roles and um certain roles and levels in society, right? So best way I can describe it is a word I'm looking for that I can't think right now. But the best way I can describe it is in America, you are free. You could be born the son of a garbage man in America. You can go to school and learn and acquire skills and knowledge and information, and you can go to college and get a degree, or you can find a path in life where you can elevate beyond being the son of a garbage man. You can go to college and get you a degree, get you a nice, well-paying job, and you can elevate yourself and become, a CEO of a company. Or you could become a lawyer and win a lot of cases and gain a lot of money and one day become a judge. You can elevate yourself in Western society. Depending on if you go out there and you grind hard and you work hard and you do the dog eat dog thing, and you pay attention to all of the different paths and methods of being able to acquire favor and get riches and wealth. You can go from being the son of a garbage man in America to being a president one day, or the president of a company, or a judge in some court that has honor and prestige. Well, over there in East India, you can't do that. You born the son of a garbage man in East India, you a goddamn son of a garbage man. You born the son of, the daughter of a whore in East India, you're the daughter of a whore. There is no elevating yourself beyond the class that you're born into in East India. And they call that a caste system. So you somebody who born poor in India, my nigga, you gonna be poor in India. If you don't want to be poor in India, you better come to America. You better come over here and put your head down and go to school and learn that math and that science. Go to one of these universities and become a goddamn nurse or a doctor, and you get some money and get rich, and never send your kids back to goddamn India, because you'll go back to India and still be the son of a goddamn garbage man. You understand? And so when you have a societal system where there is no way for you to elevate, there is no way for you to change your circumstance, there is no way for you to be better than what you were born into, you're going to need a belief system and a way of life that will allow you to escape from that. You need a religion and a belief that allows you to not live in the moment being the son of a garbage man, but to transcend your mind and to open up your chakras and to be, exist, open up your consciousness and send the energies up your kundalini. And so you could not just be the son of a goddamn garbage man. So you could not just be the daughter of some whore who has been ostracized in the society. To escape from all of that, you're going to need to do some goddamn meditation. You're going to need to do some goddamn opening up your third eye. You're going to need to do something to escape the reality of this horrible shit life that you've been given. And that is what Hinduism does for those people. You understand? Their culture creates countless numbers of people who cannot escape the circumstances that they were born into. So because you have so many people who could have a very miserable, menial, non-advantageous life, you have to give them an escape. And the religion of Hinduism is absolutely an escape from the cruel, stuck in a rut societal system that exists among the children of Elam. You understand? Now, what can people who are poor and who cannot escape the class that they're born into and who are perpetually subjected to people who are in power? Generations of people in power in India have always been in power. Generations of people in rulership in India have always been in rulership. Why? Because that is the class that they were born into. If I'm born the son of a goddamn someone in the king's court, or I'm born the son of a goddamn prince or the son of a king, guess what I'm never going to want to do? I'm never going to want to give up my power. Never going to want to give up my authority. Never going to want to share any of my wealth with any of these goddamn bums whose parents and forefathers and ancestors didn't put them in a better position to be born into and to succeed in life. You understand? And so what is the next best thing that you can give someone who was a slave or who was a servant, something good to feel about in their life? Besides religion, what is the number one activity that human beings find joy and pleasure in? What is the next most important thing in life to most human beings besides their belief? Besides what guides their day-to-day interactions and involvements and movements in the world? The next common thing, the next common activity that is shared and practiced by all people on the planet Earth besides belief and religion, besides escaping their mind to try and see a higher level of existing, it's sex. Sex. Everybody participates in sex. Everybody enjoys it. Everybody loves it. It's where children come from. Everyone on the planet is having sex, right? Again, this Hindu culture is one where, regardless of the position that you're born into on earth, there is no room for you to rise. There is no room for you to elevate yourself. So aside from your praying and your meditating and you're trying to transcend to a higher level of existence, the next best thing you can do for yourself is have some sex. And when you go into history and you study the Mede Empire, one of the greatest influences that the Persian and the Mede Empire had on the other cultures that they came in contact with during their time ruling, before when they encountered the Babylonians, and even afterwards when they influenced the Greeks, was with sex. You go back and do some history researching and some studying on them Persian kings, Xerxes and Darius and Cyrus, world renowned and famous for their sexual exploits and sexual escapades. You gonna watch that movie 300, right? The Persians were the first free sexual society on the earth. You understand what I mean? What I mean by that is they were the first people who ruled and had power where there wasn't really rules about who you have sex with, or being a homosexual, or being a prostitute. This was one of those empires and one of those cultures where prostitution and orgies and free sex was promoted. You understand? And when you have a society where people have to live in whatever class that they were born into, what do you teach someone who was born the child of a slave, whose job it was to pleasure men and women? Let me be very careful with what I'm about to say. The ancient religions that we read about in the Bible and these belief systems that are existing today that come from these ancient religions were all about sex. You go and you look at the ancient Egyptian religion and those manuscripts and those writings on the cave walls. Everything about the Egyptian religion and culture was based around sex. That's why the ankh is the symbol of a penis going in the vagina. Sex. The old Babylonians and their, come on, man, all their temples and their fertility gods. Everybody just celebrated Easter. Easter comes from Ishtar, which was a fertility goddess during the days of the Babylonians. Easter is all about fertility and sex and orgies and making babies, because that's what those religions were all about. The Greek religion, forget about it. We have to tell you about the Greco-Roman Empire with Saturnalia, which is where they get the 12 days of Christmas from. You understand? With the goddamn, again, the Easter eggs, the Valentine's Day. All of it had to do with sex. The Persians and the Medes were extreme about their sex. They were extreme about, the duration and the long lastingness and being the best at sex. And that is in large part where the religious practice of yoga comes from. Now let's get into specifically the yoga and really the Vedic text, which is where all of the religions of the East Indians comes from. Now, there are writings, manuscripts that they're in possession today somewhere, right? Now, this is all I know. Just like the Israelites had the Bible, the Greeks had their, what they call them? What the Greeks call their shit? Excuse me. Mythologies. Just like the Egyptians had their pyramid texts and their writings on the walls, and the Persians had their different writings and manuscripts over there in the Middle East. The East Indians, the Elamites, they had the Vedas. You go into the Chinese culture, they have ancient writings that's known as something, but the Bible says that to every people there was a portion given. That portion is their culture, their language, their religion, their belief system, their way of doing things, their morality. Well, all of the morality and the religions and the ways of life of the East Indians comes from the Vedas. These Vedas are ancient writings that they prescribe to men who were transcended and above living the menial existence of a human on the planet. They were enlightened men, and these enlightened men gave them these writings and these manuscripts to teach them how to, achieve a higher level of existence on the earth. So when you're dealing with Hinduism and you're dealing with the meditating and the escaping your current position in life, when you're talking about the chakras and your sacred energies and elevating your kundalini and opening your third eye and tapping into your, higher self, sex is a big part of that for these people. And so you can't really talk about yoga without talking about the Kama Sutra and tantric sex. The yoga, the Kama Sutra, and tantric sex are all tied in together, and they all come from the same source material, which are the Vedas. Now, the Kama Sutra is something that was written later by a Hindu man who practiced the yoga and the tantric sex. You understand? It's all interwoven and connected, and it's very much conducive to the culture where these people come from. I'm trying to get, all right, so I had a scripture. Let me go ahead and get this, all right? All right, so let's get into some scriptures real quick. Let's get Romans chapter 1, verse 1 and 26. This is Romans chapter 1, verse 24. All right. This is not only speaking about these East Indians, this is speaking about all the men on the earth and their various religions, all right? And the sexual deviant nature of these religions. Well, first off, let me get this. Hold on. Give me Exodus chapter 20, verse 3. Matter of fact, now this is Deuteronomy 5 and 6. We're going to go Deuteronomy 5 and 6. All right, Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 6 says, I am the Most High, your power, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Meaning what? You shall have no other gods. There should be no other authority. There should be no other path that you walk on except the one that I lay before you. Verse 8, thou shalt not make thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the earth, in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters beneath the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself unto them, nor serve them, for I, the Most High, thy power, am a jealous power, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. Everybody understands? What is the culture of the children of Israel? We will have no other gods but the one that gave us his instructions. Yoga comes from the gods that are not the Most High. It comes from somebody else's God, somebody else's worship. What is very much a part of the yoga and the Hindu belief is there's all kinds of statues and all types of images that they worship. Go to look at them, the Hindu religion. That's where you get your elephant with the 9 arms, and the Rastafarian god is some East Indian woman with long dreads, long hair, sitting in some East Indian pose. You understand? That Hindu and that yoga is absolutely derived from the worship of East Indian gods and East Indian culture. If you're an Israelite, if you believe in the Most High, if you obey the instructions he gave to his people to establish them with their own culture and their own way of life, then there's no justification for adopting any of the practices of the Hindus or any of their cultures or ways of life. It is a fact that yoga derives from the Vedic texts that were written by the ancient East Indian peoples to give their descendants a religion and a way of life and a culture for them to exist on the earth. You want to go ahead and get your rising dog and your, I don't know the shit. Excuse my language. I don't know them damn stretches in them different positions. You understand? A stretch is a goddamn stretch. People in life, you work out, you're in shape, you stretch to loosen up your muscles for you to be able to go and jog and run or lift. You understand? That's what stretching is about. Yoga is not about stretching to be able to lift weights or to go jog or to go do a run. Yoga is about stretching and bending your body in order to put yourself in positions for extreme sexual pleasure. That's what those positions are all about. You understand? So the Most High said we should have no other gods before him. Let's go to Romans chapter 1, verse 26, because here's what I want y'all to understand. Ain't nothing wrong with having good sex. Ain't nothing wrong with having wonderful, long-lasting sex. Ain't nothing wrong with, going to Pound Town. No, God, the Most High made us all to be able to enjoy sex, both men and women. Some of you brothers out there, you think sex is about you. No, it is not. Sex is about you and your woman getting what you both need and being satisfied and happy and pleasured, and it's a beautiful, wonderful thing, and that's where babies come from. The feeling of wanting to have sex and desiring your woman comes from the Lord. The woman wanting to be with you comes from the Lord. Now, if you want to be with another man's woman, that's lust. That's Satan. That's demons. You understand? There's a very thin line between desiring your woman and lusting after another man's. Everybody understands, but all of these things have spiritual connotations to them. And so this class is not about don't do the nasty, bend her legs behind her head sex. That's but nothing wrong with that. But you ain't got to do yoga in order to do that. So there's a line between worshiping Satan and yoga and putting your body through extremes in order to have more pleasurable sex, and just being flexible and working out to have your body in good shape, and as a byproduct you have good, wonderful sex. So this is not about don't have no good sex, but as we go further in the class, you're gonna explain to you how the yoga is a spirit, and when you have that yoga spirit on a man or a woman, it changes the nature of what God gave us to enjoy, which is sex. So I'm going to keep going, all right? This is Romans chapter 1, verse 24. This is speaking about sexual lust or sexual, the unnatural ways of indulging in sexual intercourse. Let's put it that way. Everybody knows that fornication is unlawful sex. There were rules. In our culture, we have rules about sex. You can't have threesomes in our culture. A man can't be with two women at one time in our culture. That is fornication. A man can't be with another man in our culture. That's sodomy. That's sodomy. You understand? And it is unlawful. Two women can't be in the bedroom together in our culture. That's lesbianism, and that is a vile affection. Two women shouldn't be kissing and licking and sucking and doing whatever on each other. That's our culture. Now, them other people, them East Indians and the Greeks and the Romans and the Africans, they do all types of funky, nasty, sexual things, and it's enjoyable for them, and they love it. If they like, you know what I'm saying? That's their thing. But God gave us a culture where that is not to be. So if you are indulging in those things, guess what you are doing? You are putting your desire for sexual pleasure above the Most High. You are having other gods before him, because all of that, the threesomes, the lesbianism, the orgies, everybody just in the room having sex and switching and swapping, all of that comes from the worship of other gods. Everybody understands? And the Bible talks about that spiritual lusting and that fornication and the spirit of uncleanness that comes from all of those various lusts. So Romans chapter 1 verse 24 says, wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves, who changed the truth of the Most High into a lie, and worshipped and served the creature more than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. For this cause the Most High gave them up to vile affections, for even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of women, burned in their lust one toward another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error which was meet. And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient. Everybody understands? This is describing Hinduism. It's describing Catholicism. It's describing atheism. It's describing your threesomes and your orgies and your lesbianism and your homosexuality. All of the LGBTQ acceptances are right here in this scripture, described by God as people being given over to their own lust because they refuse to retain the knowledge of God in their mind. That Hindu religion is built on rejecting the Most High, and focusing on man himself being able to be the Most High. Again, this is a culture where people are stuck in a caste system, and there is no elevating or rising within society. So what must you do in order to be able to live in a place like that? You have to have a belief or a religion where you can escape your present situation and circumstances. That's what Hinduism is all about. Now on to the yoga. Again, you go in history and you look up the Persian and the Mede Empire. The sexual exploits of the Medes was far known and chronicled and archived among the other nations that they encountered at that time. These East Indians they listen, the orgy, forget about it. The temples of their gods where you would go and have sex with a woman, forget about it. Temples where you would go and have sex with men, forget about it. That was that East Indian culture. All of their religions and their gods, all of the worships of those East Indian gods involves some type of enduring pain or hurt or uncomfortability in service of these gods. One of the East Indian gods is a god known as Shiva, right? You go to serve Shiva, your way of showing dedication to this god is you do not groom yourself for 7 years. When I say you don't groom yourself, you don't wash, you don't comb your hair. I don't know about picking boogers or, wiping your behind after you use the bathroom. But if you are going to serve the god Shiva in the Hindu religion, if you're going to be a priest or a servant of Shiva, you show your dedication by not washing for 8 years. Why would you have to not wash for 8 years in order to appease some god or to make some god happy? Because not washing is like punishing yourself. That's the worship of one of their gods. In yoga, part of the religion or part of the worship is these extreme stretches and these extreme positions that you put your body into, which in the beginning hurt like hell. I don't know if any of y'all ever taken a yoga class or Pilates or any of these. See, the evil of America, the evil of our oppressor, is they'll take the religions of and the cultures of all the other people on the earth, and they will present it to everybody as though, yeah, man, it's some new workout. That's why, listen, the Bible calls America the cage of every unclean and foul bird. Meaning what? All of the evil and the demons and the spiritual wickedness is present in this place. How the hell did we get an ancient East Indian religion of bending and stretching yourself into various positions so that you could have extreme sexual pleasures come to be known as a stretch in America. Because the white man is the devil that the Bible speaks of. You go do some studying on how yoga made its way to America and how it began to be something that was westernized and accepted here. Some white broad went out to India and got slutted out by some East Indian yogi cat who was stretching and bending and putting her in all kind of pretzel positions. And she fell so in love with getting her back blown out that she thought all white women should be able to experience getting their back blown out this way. So she brought it to Hollywood in the 1940s. And at first it wasn't accepted in Hollywood because everybody knew, God damn, this stretch and this position I'm in is ridiculous and it hurts. Why am I doing this to my body? Oh, so I could get a better orgasm? Yeah, that's evil. The early Hollywood folks in the 1940s knew that the damn yoga was evil and against Christ and their belief, and they rejected it. But of course, over time, as more and more white people began to go to the East Indians and go and learn from them and worship them and sit in their temples and learn from their swamis, these cats who practice this Hinduism and practice this yoga have been doing these stretches and these positions and teaching themselves how to not have an orgasm for 3 hours. That yes, when white women came out there, of course they was blowing their back out and putting a whole foot of East Indian rod inside of their vagina and making them feel super good. And that's how it became a westernized thing. But to the East Indians, they absolutely knew and understood that this yoga and these stretches is absolutely good for making sex last longer, which is why the Elamites and the Persians and the Medes were so world renowned for their sexual exploits. Because in the practice of this yoga, their women learned to bend themselves into ridiculously crazy positions and to hold those positions for a long time so that when a man would get with them in the bedroom, Pound Town isn't a 30-second exercise. It isn't 2 minutes, 3 minutes, an hour. Pound Town could last for days because she'll just fold up in the pretzel and just stay there with her legs behind her head for hours. Because when she's not having sex, she's worshiping her God and stretching her body to the most extreme position she could ever get into. Same thing for the men. Those East Indian men, when they weren't battling on the battlefield or working to better their empire, they're in there stretching and putting their legs and their bodies in crazy, weird positions and learning how to escape the presence of the moment they're in. And so they could last longer when it came to having sex and put their bodies in all kinds of extreme, crazy positions. And if you in a room with a bunch of yoga practicing people and a orgy breaks out, then it's going to be hell in that room for long periods of time, because everybody who's in here has been worshiping this yoga god, and we can all do the stretches and the bends and fold in the weird, crazy positions and be in the midst of fornication for hours on end. And that's where it comes from. That is the origins of the yoga and the Hinduism and the whole sexual nastiness of the whole practice. Now, why can I say this? Yoga could just be stretching, right? Yoga could just be, stretching your body out and getting into better positions and learning how to meditate and control your breathing. And, I don't know why you would have to stretch to the point of pain. I don't know why you got to stretch to the point of, bending your head backwards or, I've seen all kinds of crazy stuff with these yoga people. Some broad getting the goddamn bridge. A bridge is when you bend your body backwards. You got your feet on the ground one direction, your arms is on the ground, your head is upside down the other direction. Then the broad take her hand and swoop underneath her body and her upper body be turned the other direction while her legs is folded flat on the ground that way. That's ridiculous. How much time and how painful was it for you to learn how to train your body to endure that position? Why would you? For sex. You go on the Instagram or the internet, Lord forbid one of these yoga videos, but one of these black women in America crosses your path, you'll be mesmerized by the ridiculous positions that this body is able to contort into. And you might think, "Ooh, that would be nice. That might be good." But you have to understand where it comes from. And it comes from a culture and a belief that is based in punishing yourself in order to appease a god of these East Indian people. Everybody understands? Now, in the same books where you learn about yoga, in the same books where you learn about the worship of Shiva and these other gods and goddesses and the eight-legged this and the eight-legged elephant and the gat with a bunch of arms and all these different idols that these East Indians worship, yoga is a part of those Vedas. What's also a part of those Vedas is what later on was written by some philosopher in East India known as the Kama Sutra. Well, no, not the Kama Sutra. Tantric sex is another thing that has come to the world from these same Elamite East Indian peoples. And if you just Google origins of tantric sex, I'm not going to bring it up on here because it's very vulgar. Tantric sex is again religious and come from the worship of these East Indian gods. But these people have learned methods and ways of training their bodies so that they can have sex for hours and hours and hours at a time. The men can have sex and not ejaculate for many, many hours. The women can have sex and stretch an orgasm from usually most women. And as a man, if you're doing it right, a woman's orgasm will last, 5 to 15 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Maybe some women may be out the door quicker than that. But these East Indians, with this caste system where you can rise above being the son of a trash man or the daughter of a whore in order to escape the horrible evils of your life, you can learn how to stretch a sexual session from 10, 15, 20 minutes to 4 hours, 5 hours before your orgasm, or have an orgasm for the whole entire 3 or 4 or 5 hours that you're doing it. And you have to ask yourself, what kind of people on the earth had 5 hours for orgasm? What kind of people on the earth had the time for an hour? What type of, what are you doing with your life that you just having sex for 6 hours? What's going on with the rest of your day, and what else is going on in society and in life to where you can just set aside 6 hours for sex? You're the son of a trash man who has no hope in rising out of your condition in life. And so you want to escape the reality of the world you're in. You want to transform your consciousness to a higher level. You want to raise your kundalini energy from your base chakra and all the way up the back of your spine to where you can achieve nirvana. You're going to learn how to not ejaculate for 6 hours. So you could just not waste your day, but just spend your day in a vagina all day. I mean, hell, I ain't got nothing else to live for. I'm the son of a trash man. I might as well just lay in some vagina all day. The tantric sex, which is a part of it's a portion or aspect of the religion of the Hindus, is also written in these Vedic texts where yoga comes from. And later on, a philosopher came along, taking yoga, taking the Vedic, those Vedic texts, and taking the tantric sex, and he compiled a book known as the Kama Sutra. The Kama Sutra translates into the methods of. Hold on, I gotta pull it up. I had a video. Matter of fact, I'm gonna pull the video up for y'all to be able to see too. This Kama Sutra, was something I was introduced years ago. I think HBO might have had a show about it, right? About the Kama Sutra. And in this show, they talked about how there was some old book, ancient book written by the East Indians that was like a porno magazine. It was like showing all different types of methods of, crazy sexual positions and things that you can do to just have great, wonderful love making. You understand? This Kama Sutra had images in it of depictions of all different types of sexual acts written down thousands of years ago, and this man describing to people what and why it was so necessary for you to have wonderful, beautiful, lustful sex. Let me go ahead and show you clips of this video describing and explaining what the Kama Sutra is, where it comes from, and that's going to tie back into yoga. It's going to tie back into the tantric sex, which also ties back into the religion of Hinduism and the culture that exists among the Hindu people, where there's a caste system that you cannot elevate or change the position in society that you were born into. All right. Of course, everybody know if you got any questions, all I gotta do is type them in the chat. But I'm gonna go ahead and play this video for y'all, and I might pause it and comment on it while we're going through it. But this is it's very important, man. Very important. Let me see something. All right. So I'm about to go ahead and play this clip so y'all can see what this cat talking about here with this goddamn tantric this goddamn Kama Sutra. All right. Let me see something. I like this one better. Yeah, y'all go ahead.
When you hear the words Kama Sutra, the first thing that probably comes to mind is sex. But did you know there is so much more contained within the pages of this erotic manuscript? In the Kama Sutra, you can find out how to kiss properly, how to get someone to marry you, and even the best ways to commit adultery. We'll be talking about the Congress of the Cow sex position and how to do it later on. But before we dive into that, it's important to understand where the Kama Sutra came from. Kama Sutra translates to Principles of Lust and is an ancient Indian text. It was first written in Sanskrit sometime between 400 BCE and 225 CE. The book itself contains a lot of descriptions of eroticism, pleasure, and sexual positions, but there's also so much more contained within its pages.
Now, again, the Kama Sutra translates into Principles of Lust. This is what these East Indians was focused on. This is what their religion and their belief had. This is what their culture was largely based around. Because when you're in a caste system where you cannot elevate yourself or rise above the position you're born into, then you need to have a belief where you can escape your reality and live on a higher plane and take your mind away from all of the troubles and the ills of your present life, and you can rise to live, to exist in a higher plane by opening your consciousness and raising your chakra levels and rising the energies in your kundalini to your pineal gland. And that's where all of that religious Egyptian bullshit come from. It come from a culture of people where a slave could never not be a slave. And because you were born a slave and could never be more than a slave, they gave you a religion where you could find peace and solace in being a slave. Because I'll never be able to have any power, I'll never be able to have any wealth, I'll never be able to own any land, at least I could be at peace in my mind. You know what? The one thing they can't take away from me, if I'm a slave, they can't stop me from having sex. So I'm going to go through the pains of mutilating my body and being able to stretch myself in extreme positions so that I can learn how to make sex last longer. This cat came along with this Kama Sutra book, this Principles of Lust. These were not a moral people. These weren't the people that had moralities and understood rights and wrongs and had laws against homosexuality or orgies and threesomes and lesbianism. Nah, everything was free to them. Why? Because goddamn, you might as well enjoy this life You can't be any better or do anything more than what you were born into. This is what this is what the Medes were all about. This was their religion and their belief and their system of doing things. This Kama Sutra was a book, a manuscript on lust. I'm gonna keep letting it go. This video is gonna start to go into some of the positions that the Kama Sutra gave people, sexual positions. Some of these sexual positions in this Kama Sutra, you can't get into it unless you're bendy and flexible and could put your head between your legs and roll around upside down. Where do you learn how to put your head between your legs and roll around upside down? In yoga. How do you learn how to do the goddamn wheelbarrow position? Man, listen. These some freaked out people. Ain't nothing wrong with having sex with your woman and putting her in positions. But these positions wasn't for just regular a man and a woman having sex. These were positions for prostitutes. Positions for women who are dealing with men who don't like regular sex, who are not just trying to blow your back out and make you feel good and, you know, saying tie fire to you. No, these are men who are paying for you to do weird stuff. These are men that are paying to see you in pain, paying to see you bent and folded in all different types of positions so that they could just admire how crazy your body is. That's what yoga and tantric sex and the Kama Sutra is all about. Let's keep reading. I keep saying keep reading. Let's keep going on with the video.
Some of which will really surprise you. Most scholars believe the Kama Sutra was written by Vatsyayana, who was an ancient Indian philosopher. In the book, Vatsyayana discusses everything from how men and women should act in society to how to please your partner. The Kama Sutra was a progressive book even by today's standards. It covers same-sex relationships, having multiple sex partners, and even discusses how women should have rights that at the time were not always adhered to.
In the Kama Sutra, it talks about how to please your partner, how to have multiple partners, homosexual relationships. All of that was accepted in the Mede culture. Everybody understands. Keep playing.
That being said, the Kama Sutra was most definitely not about equality for men and women. It only contained suggestions on how to live a happy and pleasurable life. Although most of the information in the text is geared toward men, soon we'll be talking.
It's about how to live a happy and pleasurable life. What is Hinduism about? How to live a happy and pleasurable life. How to escape the reality of the world you're living in. You could, instead of just being some miserable slave, you could become a slave to Shiva and don't bathe for 7 years. This escaped me earlier. That's where dreadlocks comes from. Dreadlocks comes from the worship of Shiva, where you can't groom or wash for 7 years. If you don't groom or wash for 7 years, what happens to your hair? It mats together, it locks up, and there's your origin for dreadlocks. All of this coming from the East Indian or Hindu people, once again, had a culture and a society where you could not rise and elevate yourself beyond the position that you were born into. So you're born a slave, born to some lower state. You want to change your perspective or your reality in life. You want to open up your consciousness and escape the reality of the world you're living in. You can go live in some fantasy world in your mind where you're somebody that you're not, because in your real life, you're just a piece of shit son of a trash man. Keep playing.
Talking about the splitting of a bamboo, which, believe it or not, is the sex position. But first, let's find out what else is contained within this nifty book. The goal of the Kama Sutra is to help the reader live a life of fulfillment. So it provides advice on how to get married and stay married, since both the husband and wife may not feel fulfilled in their marriage at certain points,
Skipping by.
especially those who are forbidden and to be avoided. In the socialization, games, entertainment, and drinking parties. It is here where Vatsyayana goes into adultery, finding sexual partners and types of women, especially those who are forbidden and to be avoided. In the second book, things get a little more promiscuous. It talks about the different sexual relationships and the pleasures of sex. This includes foreplay and the types of climaxes. There are also extremely helpful sections of this book, such as how to figure out if someone is interested in you and how and where to kiss your partner. Interestingly, Vatsyayana goes on to hygiene and cleanliness in this book. This actually makes sense, since when you're kissing everywhere on your partner's body, you would want them to smell nice and be clean. The second book also discusses the not-so-obvious ways to pleasure your partner, such as scratching, poking, biting, slapping, and holding. We'll come back to book 2 in a little, while as the end of this book in the Kama Sutra is where we find the sex positions. One we can't wait to tell you about is the turning position. Imagine a helicopter propeller spinning round and round. That's kind of what this Kama Sutra sex move is like. Book 3 of the Kama Sutra is about marriage. In particular, this book starts with how to find a wife and who to avoid. Then it discusses how to earn her trust and start moving slowly towards sexual relations. The end of the third book in the Kama Sutra focuses on how females can identify a man's advances, earn his trust, and eventually win his heart. Again, the books of the Kama Sutra contain a lot of knowledge than just crazy sex positions. Maybe it should even be the next book you read. Book 4 discusses the duties and privileges of a wife once two people are married. It also talks about how it's okay for vagina and sex a lot in this next part. If you're listening to this, partner should probably stretch. The Kama Sutra for the video wasn't a little fun. Many of the positions in the book I had never heard of before, and I am sure you will find 1 or 2 sexual positions surprising as well. Just remember, before trying something new, you and your partner should probably stretch. So we're clear.
For the Kama Sutra, before you go to try any of those positions, it is suggested that you and your partner stretch. What stretches could you and your partner do before you go and do this Kama Sutra? Before you go getting your body in all these weird, crazy positions for a sexual climax, yoga is the stretching you should do. It's the meditation, the pre-meditation and stretching that your body needs for the crazy, pleasurable sex that you want to have now. Many of us, I can attest. I don't know about what everybody doing. I'm an ISUPK under Commanding General Yohana, you understand? And we men in here, we real men, and I know what to do with a woman, and I know how to do it to a woman, and I know that you don't need to know the Kama Sutra in order to satisfy a woman. And my woman don't need to know Kama Sutra in order to satisfy me. Why you need the Kama Sutra to get you in a position to climax, I don't know. I've never had those issues or problems. I've never had a epiphany to say, you know what? I don't, the sex isn't good for me. I'm not enjoying it. It's not fun. I wonder if there was a place where I could go learn how to have better sex. I've never had that problem, never had that issue. If you're someone who does, you're a brother out there, you don't know how to, have a put a woman in a good position for her to have an orgasm, or you don't have a good orgasm, and maybe you need the Kama Sutra. Maybe you need to go find a yogi to stretch you out, or send your woman to some yoga man, and let him stretch her out. Lord be with you. Another thing I forgot to mention about the whole yoga thing, the video game Street Fighter. There's an East Indian character named Dalsim. Dalsim is a guy on there. He got the stretchy arms and the stretchy legs. He blow fire. Dalsim is loosely based on Xerxes, who was the king of the Persians and the Medes Empire during the time when they encountered the Greeks. If you watch the movie 300, you'll see Xerxes depicted in 300. Xerxes was world famous in history for being very tall, very flexible, and known for his sexual exploits. Cyrus, Darius, Xerxes, that whole line of Persian kings, them cats was some freaks, man. Them cats was known for their get downs, their orgy parties, and their nasty sex escapades. They was world famous. The cat Xerxes was famous for being a nasty freak. When I say a nasty freak, I'm not talking about just having sex with women. I'm talking about orgies and threesomes and foursomes and having sex with men having sex with him. Those Persians and Medes were some nasty, freaky bastards, and they were Hindus. You understand? They weren't Muslims. They were Hindus. They were Krishnaites. Krishna is where that Krishna comes from them. You understand? These are the same goddamn people. Nasty filth, flaw and filth, principles of lust, Kama Sutra, yoga, tantric sex, all of that's tied in to the religion and the belief of the Medes and the Persians, and the Bible is against it because the Most High gave blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians a culture that they should follow. If you follow the scriptures and obey the Bible, if you learn how to be a man, you wouldn't need goddamn Kama Sutra to make love to your woman or to satisfy a woman. If you just learn how to be a man, listen, you're a brother out there, you watching this, and you don't know how to make love to your woman, come into the ISUPK. You ain't gonna learn no freaky Kama Sutra nonsense. Ain't nobody gonna teach you what positions to put your woman into, but we will make you be a man. You'll learn how to be a man and walk like a man and talk like a man and carry yourself like a man. You'll come in here and learn how to fight. You'll learn how to defend yourself and defend your home. You'll learn how to take pride in your possessions, and you'll learn how to do what the Bible says, which is to honor your woman as the weaker vessel. And you'll learn how to, make love to a woman and treat her the way she should be treated in that bedroom so that she feels like a woman and you feel like a man. And that leads me into, well, I'm going to wait until after I finish the video, but I'm going to get into the spiritual nature of these yoga women. These women who are into yoga, they ain't just regular women who you meet and get to know and take on a date, and then you get to know them and you marry them and have sex with them. These yoga broads, they got a spirit on them that is not. It's the yoga spirit. It's the Hindu spirit, and we're gonna talk about it after I finish with this video. So let me go ahead and get back to it. All right.
Clear. We're going to be saying penis, vagina, and sex a lot in this next part. If you're listening to this at work, maybe put some headphones on. We'll start with a variant on a more normal position called the variant yawning position. This is basically where a woman lays on her back and puts her legs as far toward her head as possible, allows the penis to enter the vagina fully, and is supposed to give intense pleasure to both partners. The variant yawning position is basically the missionary position with the legs high in the air, allowing for maximum penetration. Next, we have the pressed position. Again, the woman's on her back, except this time she puts both her feet on the man's chest, basically like she's about to push him away with both legs. This is supposed to allow for deep penetration, but for women it could also be a useful position if their partner is not doing something right. All the female needs to do is extend both legs and she'll kick the man right off the bed. Now we've gotten to the splitting of a bamboo. This name might not sound like the most pleasurable sex position, but the Kama Sutra assures us it is safe. For this position, start in the missionary position, then the female places one leg on the shoulder of the man. After a little time, she switches legs. The sequence is done over and over again to cause the vagina to squeeze the penis in different ways. The switching of legs also apparently is reminiscent of the motion used to split bamboo. Who knew? The last three positions we're going to discuss from the Kama Sutra are the wildest. The first is the lotus-like position. If you've ever done yoga, you might know the lotus pose as folding the legs onto one another to sit cross.
Listen, these positions in the Kama Sutra are exactly what you're doing when you're stretching for yoga. Not only that, it is the exact position that the East Indian gods are seen sitting in their goddamn statues. The damn Buddha pose with the legs crossed, you think that's meditating. Nah, that's sex. It's putting a rod in your woman. You sitting there just, she on top of you. And y'all transcending your consciousness. It's just goofy. Not goofy. It may be wonderful. Who knows? It's just sex, though. It's just another religion about sex and about making yourself feel good and having pleasure and enjoyability. But that's where it comes from. Keep playing the video. Listen, I ain't make this up. I made the post yesterday, yoga is satanic. A lot of people laugh. People ain't know why I said it. I've studied this years ago, researched this years ago. Been known it was religious. You understand? Again, I didn't need a damn book to teach me about good sex and how to be a man and make a woman feel good. I didn't need a book to teach me how to make for a woman to make me feel good. You understand? Some men might need it. These women, though, who doing this yoga, they're absolutely being taught by these instructors who fully well know and understand that this entire religion is about, sex and folding yourself into these positions and in these different ways to maximize the pleasure of sex. Who these women been having sex with? They felt like they had to learn to put their head between their legs and roll around on the ground. I don't know. But it's what comes with the religion. I'm gonna say that for the last end of the class. I'm gonna go back to the video. I just want you to prepare y'all. I'm just gonna tell you about the nastiness of these yoga broads and how if you ain't a yoga dude and you got a yoga practicing broad, she ain't gonna never be satisfied. You're gonna blow her back out, head into the pillow, all of the things that you're gonna do, and it's gonna be over, and she's still going to be like, "Oh, that's all you got? You ain't got no more for me. You ain't gonna be able to tame no yoga broad, and it ain't even her fault. It's because she's got a demon of some East Indian god on her to where sex isn't even pleasurable or enjoyable. She's gonna need to go get some yoga man to match her yoga energy so that their yoga sex could be something that they enjoy. Lord be with you on it, brothers. Enjoy yourself and have fun. But there's nothing worse than a masculinely sexual woman. There's nothing worse than a woman who can't be subdued or can't be, submitted via sex. Now, sometimes you as a man, you just ain't the man. You ain't man enough. You got to, be a man in that bedroom and care enough about the woman to make sure that she's satisfied. So sometimes not every woman got a damn yoga demon on her. Some of these women just needs you to do your job. And some of you men ain't doing your job. But these yoga bitches, Salaki, these yoga bitches, brother, you might think it's fun. You might see the stretches and the bends, and you be like, ooh wee, brother, you're going to be demoralized. Your spirit, you're going to lose your strength and your spirit trying to do something that cannot be done unless you get the demon off this broad first. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? But and listen, it's part of the religion. It's part of the worship. It is not like you can't subdue her, but you got to be a yoga nigga to match the energy. It just ain't. Anyway, I'm going back to the video and let y'all continue to see the correlations between this Hindu culture, religion, and this stretching that the yoga proclaims itself to be. I'm gonna go ahead back in.
Well, the sex position is just that. The woman knew. The last three positions we're going to discuss from the Kama Sutra are the wildest. The first is the lotus-like position. If you've ever done yoga, you might know the lotus pose as folding the legs onto one another to sit cross-legged. Well, the sex position is just that. The woman crosses her legs in the lotus position and then has sex in that position while lying on her back. The Congress of a Cow position has a funny name, but it also comes with a deep symbolic meaning. Basically, this position is meant to represent two cows having sex. Both partners stand upright, and the female bends all the way over and places her hands on the floor in front of her. Her partner mounts her like a bull would a cow. It is pleasurable and symbolic at the same time. The final.
Now, have we or have we not all seen this yoga position? It's a yoga position where you're standing up and you bend forward like you're doing a mountain climber workout, but you're not doing a mountain climber workout. You're just holding that pose for God knows how long. And for what reason you're holding it that long, who knows? But lo and behold, when your man wants to put you in the standing cow, well, now you know why there's a yoga stretch for it.
Hands on the floor in front of her. Her partner mounts her like a bull would a cow. It is pleasurable and symbolic at the same time. The final position we'll mention from the Kama Sutra is the turning position. Remember earlier when we mentioned the helicopter propeller spinning? This is exactly what the sex position is like. The female lays on her back and sex begins in the missionary position, then the male slowly turns around in a circle, keeping his body straight and his penis within the vagina. With enough practice, the man can make a 360-degree turn and eventually end up right back where he started. The Kama Sutra is much more than just crazy sex positions and erotica. It contains useful information for both males and females of the time. Some of the information is even relevant today. Yes, the unique sex positions are fun, and the advice on how to commit adultery might be useful to some, but the real message within the Kama Sutra is how to live a happy and fulfilling life. Now,
There you go. You understand? That is the Kama Sutra. That is Hinduism and yoga and tantric sex and all of that all tied into one. It's really all just about sex, which is what all of the ancient religions on the earth are about. It's just about sex. Everybody understands. Back to what I was saying about I'm just going to end it with this, right? Sex is beautiful and wonderful, and the Lord made it for us all to enjoy. A man and a woman come together and they do what they do to make children and to find pleasure in one another. It's a beautiful thing. Men, you marry a woman, she should learn you as well as you learn her. In a right relationship or in a right marriage, when you have sex with your woman, you and her should both enjoy yourselves and both find pleasure. And when it's right, when you learn one another, usually you both will finish around about the same time. If not, she finishes more than you, and then you finish, she finishes a couple times and you finish last. That's typically what a healthy marriage is like. You get one of these yoga bras. The yoga spirit of the religion teaches a woman, it damn near robs them of their ability to be satisfied sexually. Again, this Hindu religion and this Hindu culture is largely based on sexual pleasure, elongating sexual pleasure, stretching it out, making it last forever, making it last longer than usual, to the point where the pleasure of the sex isn't even really why they do it. So when it comes to these yoga people that's really into the yoga, these women that's really into the bending and the stretching, they don't even enjoy sex like a regular woman would because they're damn near incapable of it. There's no pressure or pain or nothing you can inflict on them that will satisfy them. Particularly with Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian women, we have been raised in a society that hypersexualizes our women. Often, too many times, women are molested at a young age, or they're hypersexualized, or they're introduced to sex in a way that is not healthy and not conducive to them being pleasured and being satisfied and being made to be happy in a relationship with one man. And so, be careful, man. You get you one of these yoga broads. Don't be surprised, Doc, if there's nothing you can do for her. You know what I'm saying? It can be sweet and kind and submissive and loving and caring. When it comes to that bedroom, that yoga demon is a whole nother thing. And it puts a aggressive, damn near masculine spirit on a woman when it comes to handling what you're supposed to handle in that bedroom. So when I made the post that yoga is satanic, that is what I was meaning. You understand? I know it might look good, it might look fun. You might look at it and say, "Man, look, her legs all the way behind her head. Man, she bent upside down and she on a handstand with a split in the air." And you might look at that and lust after it and say, "Oh man, oh that would be so fun." It won't, because if you ain't a yogi man and you ain't doing the yoga stretches and the yoga folds and the yoga bends, the yoga woman going to need more than what you got. Or maybe not. Maybe it's just me. Lord be with you. I don't want no yoga woman. I don't want no extra bendy, stretchy, upside downward facing dog and flying cow and no other bullshit. Excuse my language. I don't need any of that. Just give me a sister that's from the environment I'm from, come from the background I come from, and let me raise her in the truth and teach her how to serve the Most High and teach her how to satisfy me and please me. And what we do in that marriage bed will be undefiled, and it'll be beautiful, wonderful, and such a glorious thing. You go try to get you one of them bendy, flexible, folding chair, laying lotus women if you want to. Lord be with you. But with that, with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge out of 1 West 125th Street in Harlem, New York. Since 1969, we have been teaching so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans the truth according to the Bible. What is the truth? The truth is that so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians descend from the greatest people that have ever walked the face of the earth. The Bible identifies us as the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. Since 1969, we've been teaching Shalaki. In the year 2023, there's nothing more important than for God's chosen people to find out the truth of who they are, where they come from, and what their purpose is on the earth. With that, and you brothers and sisters tuning in, you got family, loved ones, people you care about in the Memphis, Tennessee, and surrounding areas. Get them in contact with us here at the ISUPK. Since 1969, we've been teaching so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans the truth according to the Bible. What is the truth? The truth is that so-called blacks. I just said that. Bring them to the school. We got classes. 3000 Walnut Grove Road is the address. 6 to 8 p.m. standard time, Tuesday through Thursday. 6 to 8 from Tuesday to Thursday. 3000 Walnut Grove Road, Suite 215. Coming to the ISUPK, learn the truth, become the men and the women that God called you to be. With that, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Shalom.